Good morning, everyone. I am Annalie Ivan Luan, and today I will be presenting the Module 15.2, which is the best practices in global local governance. In this, we will learn from international case studies of local governance and adapting global innovations to local administrative systems. So, our focus will be on best practices in global local governance. Specifically, paano tayo matututo from international case studies and paano natin ito maa-adapt sa local setting, especially in the Philippines. So, this topic is important because governance today is no longer purely local, connected na tayo globally. So first, let's understand globalization. Globalization means the increasing connection of countries, systems, and governments. So dahil dito, local governments are now exposed to international innovations and best practices. So local governance is very important because sila yung frontline ng public service. Sila yung unang nakaka-interact sa mga citizens. Now, yung mga expectation ng tao ay tumataas na. Gusto na nila yung transparency, meaning open sa government. Gusto rin nila yung efficiency, mabilis at maayos yung serbisyo. At syempre, yung citizens participation, gusto nila yung marinig ang boses nila. So, kapag na-meet ito, governance becomes more effective, leading to better social equity and economic growth. So what is global local governance? Ito yung process of integrating global ideas into local systems. Hindi ibig sabihin na kokopyahin natin siya exactly, but we will adapt them based on our situation. So the key components include the centralization, where power is shared, citizens' participation, where people are involved, and innovation, especially through technology. This is also aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, which aim for inclusive and sustainable development. So the goal is to create governance that is resilient, transparent, and inclusive. Now, let's look at the key principles. First is transparency and accountability. Dapat open ang government sa actions and decisions nila and responsible sila sa outcome. Second is citizens' participation. Importante na hindi lang passive ang citizens kundi active sila sa governance. Third is efficiency and effectiveness. Dapat mabilis, organized at may impact ang serbisyo. Fourth is digital governance, so using technology to improve services and communication. And fifth is inclusivity and equity, making sure that all sectors of society are included, especially the marginalized group. So let's start with participatory budgeting. It is originated in Brazil and later adopted in many European countries. So dito, hindi lang ang government officials ang nagdi-decide kung saan mapupunta yung budget. Instead, kasali yung mga citizens, sila yung directly involved in decision-making processes. For example, communities can propose projects like road improvements, schools, or health centers, and then they vote kung alin ang priority. Ang importante dito is yung empowerment. Nabibigyan yung boses ang mga ordinary citizens. So because of this, tumataas yung trust ng mga tao sa government since nakikita nila kung saan napupunta yung funds. Also, mas nagiging fair ang allocation because actual community needs ang sinusunod, not just the political agenda. However, this also requires active participation and awareness from citizens kasi kung hindi sila involved, hindi rin magiging effective. So next is Singapore, which is considered one of the best examples of e-government in the world. Ang key idea dito is digitization. So almost all government services are available online through one centralized platform. For example, instead of going to multiple offices, citizens can process documents, pay taxes, or request services online. So, this reduces bureaucracy. Less yung pila, less yung paperwork, at less yung human intervention. Another important features is yung data-driven governance nila. So, this government uses data analytics to make decisions, making policies more efficient and accurate. So, because of these systems, services are faster, corruption is minimized, and citizens are more satisfied. Pero syempre, this is also required strong infrastructure and digital literacy among citizens. Another case study is in Seoul. It is a great example of smart city governance. They use advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, or IoT. So for example, AI is used to manage traffic flow. So nababawasan yung congestion. IoT sensors are used to monitor things like air quality, waste management, and public safety. So another important features is the citizens feedback apps. People can report issues in real time like broken facilities or traffic problems. So this makes the governance more responsive and interactive. The result is better urban mobility, efficient use of resources, and improved quality of life. However, implementing this kind of system is expensive and requires strong technical expertise. So in this slide, the Barcelona focuses on participatory governance, especially in urban planning. Citizens are not just consulted, they are actively involved in shaping policies and city projects. They use both online platforms and face-to-face consultation like town hall meetings. For example, residents can give input on housing, transportation, and environmental policies. So what makes Barcelona unique is the combination of participation and smart technology. They integrate citizens' input into smart city solutions, making development both inclusive and sustainable. So this approach ensures that policies reflect real needs of the people, but again, this requires a culture of participation and trust between government and citizens. So lastly, the Indonesia, they focus on decentralized governance. So through regional autonomy laws, they transferred power from the central government to the local government. This means the local officials have more control over the decision making, budgeting, and public services. So the advantage here is the local governments better understand the needs of the communities. So decisions are more relevant and responsive. It also increases accountability because local leaders are directly answerable to their constituents. However, decentralization can also create challenges like inconsistency in performance among regions depending on leadership and resources. So while it empowers local government, it also requires strong monitoring and capacity building. So, based on the case studies presented, we can see that the good governance is not about resources alone, but also about participation, innovation, and accountability. So in the Philippines, we also practice participatory governance. So one example is the bottom-up budgeting or the BUB. This is where the citizens are involved in planning development projects. So instead of top-down decision-making, communities help identify their needs and priorities. So this promotes inclusivity and empowerment because people feel that they are part of the process. So study shows that when citizens are involved, projects become more sustainable and effective. So at the barangay level, we have the barangay development planning. Here, the local residents are consulted about projects and priorities. So this is important because the barangay is the closest level of government to the people. The strength of the system is direct engagement. Naririnig talaga yung concerns sa community. However, effectiveness depends on participation level and leadership quality. So ngayon, pag-uusapan natin yung comparative analysis between international best practices at sa local Philippine governance. So sa table na ito, makikita natin kung saan malakas yung ibang bansa at saan tayo medyo kailangan pang mag-improve. So sa unang aspect ay sa participation. Sa international context, ang participation ay institutionalized at tech-enabled. Halimbawa sa Barcelona, may structured platforms para sa citizens kung saan pwede sila magbigay ng feedback at ma-include sa decision makings. Sa Pilipinas naman, present na ang participation tulad ng bottom-up budgeting o barangay development planning pero inconsistent pa rin ito. So nagdidepende ito sa LGU kasi minsan mataas ang involvement ng citizens, minsan mababa lang. Second is the digital governance. So internationally, countries tulad ng Singapore at Seoul ay highly digitalized. Halos lahat ng services nila online na at may real-time monitoring at mabilis yung proseso. Sa Pilipinas naman, developing pa lang ang e-governance systems. Halimbawa, may mga ilang LGUs may online payment na at permit processing pero marami pa rin yung manual at slow ang service. Third is efficiency. Sa international practices, efficiency is generally high. Services are delivered quickly and resources are optimally used. So sa Pilipinas naman, moderate pa lang ang efficiency. Marami pa ring LGUs ang nagkakaroon ng delays dahil sa limited capacity at bureaucracy. Pang-apat is yung transparency. Sa ibang bansa, transparency ay supported by strong systems, online disclosure ng budgets, public reports at citizens' feedback mechanisms. Sa Pilipinas, improving pa. May mga LGUs na nagpo-post ng financial reports pero hindi lahat consistent at accessible sa public. Panglima is yung innovation. Internationally, innovation is continuous. Halimbawa sa Seoul, they use a smart cities tech. Sa Singapore naman, continuously upgrade yung e-government services nila. At sa Barcelona naman ay nag-invest sila in sustainable urban planning. While sa Philippines, innovation is limited but growing. May pilot programs tulad ng mobile health units at e-payment systems sa mga LGUs pero kailangan pa rin ng wider implementation. Panghuli is yung citizens' engagement. Sa international context, formalized at structured ang engagement. May clear channels para sa feedback at policy input. While sa Philippines naman, informal at variable. Community involvement depende pa rin sa leadership at resources ng LGU. So, overall, ang lesson dito po ay hindi natin kailangan i-copy lang ang ibang bansa. Kailangan natin i-adapt. Tingnan kung alin ang feasible at effective sa ating local context at pagandahin ang participation, digital governance at citizens engagement sa mga LGUs. So for the key differences, international countries have strong institutions, high funding and advanced technology, kaya mas efficient ang governance nila. While sa Philippines naman, we face resources constraints and political challenges which affect the performance of the local government units. So the main point is we already have the policies, but implementation capacity is the real challenge. So how do we adapt global innovations? First, we need to strengthen the LGU capacity through training and education. Second is to invest in digital governance like online services and data systems. Third is to institutionalize the citizens' participation through regular consultations. And fourth, encourage public-private partnership to gain resources and innovation. So the key idea here is adaptation, not copying but adjusting to local realities. So, however, there are several challenges. First is yung political dynasties. They can influence decision making and limit fairness. Second is the bureaucratic inefficiency. They can slow down implementation of programs. Third is the limited funding restricts technology and development projects. And the digital divide means not all areas have equal access to technology. So these challenges must be addressed to improve the governance. So to address these issues, here are some recommendations. First is to institutionalize participatory governance across the local government units. Second is to expand e-governance systems to make services more accessible. Third is to strengthen accountability through monitoring and evaluation. And fourth, promote innovation and continuous learning from global best practices. So these steps can help improve efficiency, transparency, and inclusivity. So to conclude, global best practices provide valuable lessons for improving the governance. The Philippines has made progress, especially in participatory governance, but challenges remain in implementation. So the key takeaway is adapt, not adopt. We should not blindly copy other countries, but instead adjust their practices to fit our local context. So by doing this, we can achieve more effective and inclusive governance. So here are my references po for my report. That's the end of my report. Thank you po for listening.